I'm Mark Axelson, President of Well Prepared, where we specialize in products for disaster and emergency preparedness. We like to ask the question, do you have what it takes to survive? Today I would like to talk about protecting your family's health during a disaster. Did you know that the most common causes of disaster deaths is not trauma and injury? It's actually infections due to contaminated foods and water, respiratory infections, vector and insect-borne diseases, measles and malnutrition. These are the CDC's list, Center for Disease Control. The most common infectious diseases during a disaster are these, according to the CDC. Those are nasty. You don't want to get those. But they happen during disasters, and I'd like to talk about how to prevent them from happening in the first place, and once you get them, what you can do about them. First of all, hygiene during a disaster. Really, you need to use proper hand washing. Okay, these points are things that we all should be doing anyway, but during a disaster situation, aftermath, it's even more important. On the hand washing, before and after using the toilet or latrine or changing diapers, you really have to wash them well. Have you ever been to a hospital sterile environment where they require you to wash your hands like crazy? You have to make sure that the water you're using is clean. You rub your hands together to make a lather with the soap, scrub them really well, and be sure to scrub the backs of your hands between your fingers and under your nails. Continue rubbing your hands for at least 20 seconds and rinse well. Make sure that the towel you dry with is clean, or else air dry your hands. Also, of course, cover your mouth with your arm when you cough or sneeze. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, mouth, ears. Avoid close contact with those who are sick, and clean and disinfect those contaminated surfaces. Food handling during a disaster. When you're sick, do not prepare food for others. Proper hand washing is needed before eating, before preparing or handling food. Wash those fruits and vegetables and cook that seafood thoroughly. You can do a produce bath, actually, using apple cider vinegar or hydrogen peroxide solutions to remove parasites and poisons. Check those jars for unsealed lids, streaks of dried food on the outside surface, air bubbles, and unnatural color. Now, after opening those jars, check for unnatural odor, spurting liquid, and mold growth. Next topic is waste disposal. Actually, water contaminated by fecal matter is the single largest cause of disease in the world. Well, it turns out it's the largest cause of disease in natural disaster aftermaths. It kills people through diarrhea and intestinal parasites. So what we need to do is dispose of waste using portable toilets with bags, latrines, or by building outhouses. So we'll need the tools to do those things. Human waste should be buried at least 50 yards from waterways. Now, we need healthy sanitary water. There are several different methods of sanitizing your water. Distillation is a good method, but it does use a ton of fuel. You're going to get pure water through distillation. Boiling is very common, it's sure, but you do need a heat source. Pasteurizing is an alternate method where you heat some water up to 160 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 6 minutes. This uses less fuel than boiling and can be performed using solar heating devices. That might come in handy. You can do chemical treatments of your water. That's the best way, actually, to ensure safe water, but yuck. Chlorine bleach can be used. Make sure you use the unscented kind, otherwise there'll be a yuck for that too. With bleach, you do need to rotate your water storage every 3 to 6 months to ensure safe water. Another method that I use in my family personally is hypochlorous acid, a product known as hyporedox. This product is 200 times minimum more powerful than bleach at disinfecting, but it's non-toxic. So that's my family's preferred choice for our water storage. We can also use mechanical filtration This is very easy and effective. You have a nice water filtration system like the one pictured. This kind actually is battery operated, and it actually removes even parasites. Okay, there's 5 steps to fighting aggressive diseases during a disaster. 1, fight the pathogens. 2, remove the toxins. 3, strengthen the immune system. 4, promote cell repair. And 5, nourish the body with nutrients. You see, during a disaster situation, these regular methods may not be available to you. The regular methods of doctors, medications, dentists. So you need to store in your emergency supplies items that will help you accomplish these 5 steps. So here are my top 15 must-have remedies during disasters. First is activated charcoal. This is used all the time in emergency rooms in hospitals all over the United States. Activated charcoal is good for these types of conditions, radiation exposure, food poisoning, bites, etc. Now for radiation exposure, take 10 teaspoons a day in divided doses, mix with water over a period of 1 to 2 weeks. For a stomach bug or food poisoning or diarrhea, adults should take up to 1,000 milligrams at a time and up to 5 grams per day. For bites and stings, create a poultice and apply to the bite or sting and keep it on for 20 minutes. Next is aged garlic extract. We all know that garlic is good for you. My wife doesn't always think it's good for me or her, but aged garlic extract is special stuff that has a lot of applications. You can use it for snake bites. When you do that, you crush and rub it directly into and around the fang marks. Now for stomach flu or nausea, more common, you just take 3 to 5 caps of the aged garlic extract every 2 to 3 hours. Now, you'll probably have baking soda in your emergency supplies if you're smart. Baking soda is used for many things, colds and flus. You brush your teeth with it. What you do is you add a half teaspoon to a half glass of water every 2 hours and dissolve it completely in water. Now the Red Mill brand that I'm showing here is actually free of aluminum, so that's an even better choice. Okay, cayenne pepper powder. Many herbalists believe that cayenne is the most useful herb. Dr. Christopher, my hero from the Utah area, he discovered that a cup of cayenne tea, what you do is you take 1 teaspoon of cayenne in a cup of hot water, and that actually can stop a heart attack in under 3 minutes. So if you don't have the equipment for stopping the heart attack, grab some cayenne pepper. This is probably going to be more accessible during your disaster scenario than the devices. Now if a hemorrhage occurs in your lung, stomach, uterus, or nose, also take 1 teaspoon every 15 minutes until the crisis is passed. Your bleeding should stop in 10 to 30 seconds. Colloidal silver. This is something my family uses every day already. This is silver particles in water solution. You can use it for any type of bacteria that you might be encountering. Spray it on wounds. I spray it on if I get a sore throat, right in my throat. If my cats or my children or me get a goopy eye, we'll spray it. If I get a tooth infection, I'll spray it on that. You name it, colloidal silver can help with all these conditions listed. So it's very handy. Now this is one of my favorite products, except I use my own version. I'm talking about the Dr. Christopher's Super Garlic Immune Booster, or for short, Anti-Plague. Now, I'm one of the only ones in my family brave enough to use this stuff. You see, it's got tons of garlic in it, and it's got apple cider vinegar and a bunch of herbs. Most people won't take it. And most people say they would rather die than take this anti-plague. But you know what? I take it every day. It's not that bad. I'll tell you what has happened in my family. Every once in a while, we get a series of illnesses striking the family. And guess who is the only one who doesn't get sick? It's me. It's because I think of the anti-plague. So what you want to do to prevent illness, take 1 teaspoon 3 times a day for prevention, or up to 1 tablespoon every half hour if you're infected with something nasty. Grapefruit seed extract has so many uses. It's one of the best alternative substitutes to antibiotics. So when you would use antibiotics, try the grapefruit seed extract if you don't have those antibiotics in a disaster. There's systemic and gastrointestinal uses, bladder and yeast infections, ear, nose, and throat uses, baby care, and much more. Hydrogen peroxide. Yes, you can actually take a stronger version of the regular hydrogen peroxide you see at the store, and you can put drops of that, food grade, in your glasses of water. This will actually oxygenate the body, sending more oxygen throughout the body, helping you be healthier, helping you to detox. People often use it for ear and other infections, gum diseases, sore and strep throat, tonsillitis. You can use it for a great mouthwash, a vegetable soak, or sprouting seeds. You might need some way to sprout seeds quickly when you're out there in a survival situation. Lavender essential oil is probably one of the most popular essential oils. It can be used for nearly all skin conditions. It's used for cuts, sunburns, rashes, dermatitis, insect bites, etc. Okay, magnesium chloride. It's used for all these conditions. Your body needs magnesium to do well. You take 3 or 4 milligrams per pound of body weight per day. Okay, Nation iodine is a highly bioavailable iodine that's purely atomic iodine in an energized state. So it's a great substitute for antibiotics. It can be used as a water purifier also, and it helps prevent the damage to the body due to radiation exposure. This is one of my favorite products. I keep saying that, I know, but this is one that my family uses every day already. Redmond Clay. It's this amazing stuff that God put in the ground up in Redmond, Utah. And it has amazing properties, and they haven't really figured out why it does what it does. But it's used for a lot of internal things and a lot of external things. So, for example, internal, any type of gastrointestinal condition you might have, if you have constipation or the opposite, diarrhea, it actually helps with both. Okay, and so you can actually use it for detox. So I actually take a teaspoon a day in my morning smoothies just for detoxification effect. Now on the skin, any kind of skin conditions, you can create it into like a mustard type consistency and put that on the skin and maybe lay stuff on top of it to hold the bandage in. So my daughter recently cut herself clear to the bone, and she actually, instead of going to the hospital emergency room, there won't be any emergency rooms in some of our scenarios, we just packed that injury in Redmond Clay. And by the next day, I mean, it was all the way to the bone. It was a very serious cut, but by the next day, it was healing up, and she never did need to get stitches. Redmond Clay is amazing stuff. Slippery elm. This is the inner bark powder we're talking on the slippery elm. So basically, you use it as a gruel. You make slippery elm gruel by mixing it with boiling water until it turns thick like cream of wheat. So if someone can't hold food down, for example, eat 1 teaspoon of slippery elm gruel at a time until you're full. You can add honey or maple syrup for sweetening and or cinnamon for flavor. Now, if someone has no food, then you can actually use slippery elm gruel as a food. If someone has holes in the body, tissues externally, then he or she should fill the holes with slippery elm gruel. Yarrow is actually one of the greatest diaphoretic herbs, which means it induces perspiration. It's usually used as a tincture or as a poultice to stop bleeding. The uses are shown here: fevers, colds, flus, and many other conditions. That's all I have today for preparing your family for emergencies situations. Also, I'd like to invite you to see more of our videos on this video network, the Vitality Network, or online at wellprepared.com.